Hi, my name is Michael Stogner, and I'm born and raised in San Mateo County. I'm known as a victim's advocate. I've also been described in a national publication, a legal publication, as a local government watchdog. And I just wanted to talk about a certain story that recently has come up. I received a phone call last month, or maybe a month and a half ago, by a woman who asked me to please come and observe a court trial in our San Mateo County court. And during the phone conversation, I looked up the person that she was interested in me coming to observe, and I noticed, I couldn't help but notice that he actually was the person that brought a gun outside, and the gun fired and hit two people. And that is certainly not the type of person that I normally would even consider paying attention to. That doesn't seem to be a normal victim for me. And during the conversation, she confirmed that he did bring the gun out, and that he did admit that he fired the gun, and he admitted that he hit two people. So I said, well, how is it you want me to come, and how in the world is that guy going to be a victim? And she just asked me to do that, and I told her I would think about it. Highly likely that I would not be showing up, because I just couldn't imagine how that would be, how that guy could be a victim. And over the weekend I kept thinking about it, and I decided that since this person took the time to look me up and find me, that I at least would give him a half hour or an hour of court observation, which is something I've been doing for years. So I went to the courtroom, and his mother came up to me and thanked me for at least showing up. And I told her, there's no guarantee that I'm going to stay, but I'll watch for a little while. And I'm pleased to report that I stayed for the entire trial after a very short time period. And the reason I stayed was that for some reason our Deputy District Attorney, Brian Donnellan, and our District Attorney, Steve Wagstaffe, chose to leave out a very important part of this case. And they left it out in all the newspapers, and they did their very best to leave it out of the trial. And that part was that there were 5 people involved, and they've described the 5 people to the newspapers and to the public as 5 boaters and 5 partiers and 5 people frolicking and having a great time. What they failed to mention was, according to Jesse Wilson's neighbor. Now, Jesse Wilson happens to be the young man that stepped outside with his gun, unfortunately, one of the biggest mistakes he ever made. And he stepped out of his apartment to help somebody. Jesse Wilson, in my opinion, is a good neighbor. He's the kind of neighbor you would want to have. The other 5, on the other hand, weren't just happy-go-lucky canoers. They happened to be people who, under their own testimony, consumed Vicodin, marijuana, 7 to 10 beers, and then they also had this thing that I call an attitude. And so much so that they chased Jesse's next-door neighbor back into his apartment, and on the way in, there were several racial slurs. They also happened to throw some racial slurs up to the neighbor upstairs on the balcony, who was looking out, telling him to be quiet. And then this is what Jesse Wilson stepped into. He stepped out of his apartment late at night, thinking one of his neighbors was in trouble. He was ordered by this, what I'm going to call, group of 5. Some people call it a gang of 5. He was actually ordered back into his apartment by these people. They didn't apologize for making all the noise. They actually ordered him back to his apartment. When he said, "You can't talk to me like that," they wanted to know why, and he made the mistake of showing a gun. And when he showed the gun, according to testimony from several people, the gun was aimed straight up in the air. Now, for most people, when they see a gun, they would think game over, as the neighbor actually testified to. But not this group of 5. This group of 5 somehow took that as an encouragement And what they ended up doing was attacking him. And during this attack, the gun went off. And during that happening, 2 people got hurt. The trial is over. Jesse Wilson was found not guilty of attempted murder. And our district attorney chose not to even investigate and even interview the man who was chased back to his apartment or the woman upstairs who was yelled at. And they chose to produce a case that made Jesse Wilson look like some kind of nut job, stepping out of his apartment, shooting at people who were just making noise. And nothing could be further from the truth. And I personally find that to be a very disgusting prosecution that the district attorney has chosen to produce on the taxpayer's dime. So that's the Jesse Wilson story, and I'm very thrilled that his family member did call me. And I would have never believed it had I not seen it myself. Thank you.